There is a phrase for people like you, not who you actually are, but who the system needs you to be. It's a label that doesn't just describe your status. It destroys your spirit. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I want you to look at your life. Look at the rules you follow without asking why. Look at the places you feel you don't belong, if you think you know what this video is about. Type it in the comments right now. Let's see who sees the pattern first. But how do you manage millions of second-class souls? You don't do it with just police. You do it with ink. The past laws were the nervous system of the machine. Every black South African had to carry a dompa, literally a dumb pass. It wasn't just an ID. It was a GPS tracker made of paper. If your boss didn't sign it. Jail, if you were in the white part of town after dark. Jail, if you forgot it on your kitchen table. Jail, imagine the mental load. Every morning you wake up, and your first thought isn't, what will I achieve today? It's, do I have my permission to exist in my pocket? When you turn a human being into a walking file folder, you don't just control their movement, you control their peace of mind. In South Africa, they perfected the science. They didn't just move people to different neighborhoods, they moved them to a different reality. They created the second-class citizen, a person who walks the same earth, but is taught they are a guest in their own home. The system doesn't start with a gun, it starts with a pen. Imagine, a bureaucrat looks at your skin, the curl of your hair, the width of your nose. He writes a word on a card, and in that moment, you disappear. You are no longer a father, an artist, or a dreamer, you are a category. The dark truth, they didn't need to hate you. They just needed to categorize you. Because nobody feels guilty for stepping on a category. Humans are terrifyingly good at adapting. If I punch you once, you fight back. But if I make you ask permission to stand on a street corner, every single day, eventually, you stop being angry, you start being efficient, you learn to shrink your shoulders so you take up less space. This is the win. The system is most powerful not when it's beating you, but when you are policing yourself. Think about the silence when a child walks past an elder, and the elder moves into the gutter to let the child pass. That's not respect, that's erasure. Every whites only sign was a tiny needle prick. One doesn't kill you, but 10,000, you bleed out without ever seeing a drop of blood. You begin to believe that the gutter is where you belong. But how do you manage millions of second-class souls? You don't do it with just police. You do it with ink. The past laws were the nervous system of the machine. Every black South African had to carry a dompa, literally a dumb pass. It wasn't just an ID. It was a GPS tracker made of paper. If your boss didn't sign it. Jail, if you were in the white part of town after dark. Jail, if you forgot it on your kitchen table. Jail, imagine the mental load. Every morning you wake up, and your first thought isn't, what will I achieve today? It's, do I have my permission to exist in my pocket? When you turn a human being into a walking file folder, you don't just control their movement. You control their peace of mind. Why did they do it? For utility. A second-class citizen is the perfect battery. They are smart enough to do the work, but broken enough not to ask for the profits. The system succeeds when you look at the person holding the whip and you don't feel rage, you feel agreement. When you think, maybe they're right. Maybe I am less. That is the moment the soul leaves the body, but here's the flaw: dignity is a virus. It only takes one person to look at a sign and realize, this isn't a law of physics. It's just paint. When Nelson Mandela stood in the dock, he was reclaiming the right to define himself. He looked at the system and said, "You are the ones in a cage. I am the only one here who is free." Don't think this ended in 1994, the labels change, the zip codes change, the algorithms change, but the goal is always the same: to make you believe you are a subset of a human being. Here is the part they don't tell you in history class: the laws died in 1994. The ghost didn't. Psychologists call it internalized oppression. When a system spends 40 years telling a grandfather he is less, he accidentally whispers it to the father, and the father accidentally breathes it into the son. It's the imposter syndrome that hits you when you walk into a boardroom. It's the feeling that you have to work twice as hard just to be seen as half as good. The second class status isn't just a law on a page anymore, it has become a genetic memory. The real battle isn't at the voting booth, it's at the mirror. You were not born second class, you were manufactured that way, and if it can be taught, it can be unlearned. The most revolutionary act you can perform is to refuse the definition, to walk as if the lines don't exist. Because the truth is, they never did, if you guessed the title, second class citizens. At the start you've been paying attention, but knowing the name is only the first step. The real question is, where in your life are you still acting like one? Drop a if you're ready to unlearn the system. Share this with someone who needs to wake up.